Hello, everyone. Let us talk today with a renowned professor of German language, Professor Dilip Rajguru. He has headed the German language department at SP College, Pune, for 32 years. I'm honored to get a chance to talk to him today. Welcome, sir. Good
Thank you
morning.
very much, Lalita. See, the language connects. Very good, very well. First example is Lalita is my classmate's daughter. So I never imagined that I would have a chance to be interviewed and after having taught her German by her daughter. Yeah. So
Yes,
that's the magic of language. Yeah.
yes, yes. That's right, sir. Sir, you
Yeah.
mentioned recently that you have written a novel and it is about to be published soon.
Yes, it's true. I have written a novel. It's likely to be
Mhm.
published very soon. Maybe
Okay,
by the end of August. Yeah,
I see. Can you
it's
tell us more
German.
about it?
The language. A novel is in German language,
Uh-huh.
and the main character of this novel is a language professional by coincidence or by not by choice. Yeah, and
Mhm.
he after walking over a zigzag and bumpy path, he ventures into the um, realm of German language and literature, where he settles down and finds his happiness. That's the main idea of this novel.
That's wonderful.
Uh,
I was going to ask you, who is the publisher of this book? I mean, is it being published in India or abroad?
it will be published in India, but I can't disclose the name as yet because I don't have the
Oh,
publish. The contract is yet to be signed in all uh, legal matters. Yeah.
sure,
But
sure, sure.
he is also a beginner like me and may take more interest in my novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
certainly. Sir, you have translated stories from Marathi into German. So, how do you address the cultural difference? So,
Yeah,
that
I have
represents
translated
basically.
both. Yeah, I have translated both from German into Marathi and Marathi into German, both ways. Yeah,
Huh.
but I am not a professional translation. I
Mhm.
am I'm an amateur translation, so I can always select my text that I want to translate. Any
Mhm.
text has inherent problems for translation. Not that you
Yes.
can translate any text. I remember a
Correct.
competition conducted by one of the organizations of German learning. They wanted me to translate, they wanted all to translate a poem by Bhara Tambe, Madhu Magasi
Oh,
Majha Sakhya. And
okay.
it was a competition. So it is
Huh.
really, really very, very difficult because there are concepts like Nevaidyachi Ekaswat. Yeah.
Hmm.
Devapudyastava hi Koranti. It is impossible to translate such attempts.
Correct.
You can, I mean, some sub, such formulations. You can
Hmm.
give some alternative explanation, but that can't
Hmm.
fit into poetry form. So, according to me, poems, and jokes are the most difficult uh, text to translate because when you translate a joke and if you narrate it and nobody laughs, then your text is done on the spot. Yeah, and it is the literature in concentrated form. Whereas poem is also very, very difficult text to translate. That's why I have selected short stories. I have translated some poems with more or less success. But yeah, this is one thing. Or the intercultural aspect starts with very right from the first word. Let's take simple one word examples. For example, if there is a short story explaining some day-to-day talk between man and woman, husband and wife, she will say at least 20 times, or he will say also darling, or that Schätzchen, Liebling. How will you translate
Hmm.
into Marathi? Have you ever heard a Marathi person saying Priye, but for Sangeet Natya. Yeah.
Mhm.
But in English, it is easier to translate because uh, what do you call it in English? Sweetheart, darling are
Huh.
very equally free. There is a cultural similarity. When there is so much cultural difference, it is difficult to translate.
Correct.
Sometimes it is difficult to translate a single word. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and that's why translation is as good as writing a new text. It is a very creative activity. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I had selected this Vijay Tendulkar's first narrative because I had right from the beginning uh, this arranged marriage as a topic. I want to really translate all the stories in Marathi on arranged marriage because it is a very difficult topic and it is perhaps it shows the status of women in the Indian society. Now things are changing. But Tendulkar's story was written in 1952
Mhm.
and it encircles around a revolutionary, rebellious woman. She
Mhm.
doesn't accept the values of those time at that time, yeah, of in the society. And while translating this word, a simple preparation like kanda poha has so much significance, yeah, or or even पाहण्याचा कार्यक्रम. How will you translate it? Will you call it in? So there is so many cultural things, but yet I found that topic very interesting. I translated. I had to make certain omissions, certain changes. That's the liberty of translating because sometimes once I had translated a story by Heinrich Mann. The story was their Hund, a Hund. Now, if you translate it to Kutra, then it lands into children's literature. Yeah.
Yes.
And the theme was very philosophical. Yeah, it was about rebirth and yeah.
Oh.
So I thought I had to rename it as Rahasya Punarjanmat. So much the difference you have to make. The main worry of translator is that the content matter is, translated into the target language. Yeah. So it is transfer of content and not transfer of form as much. Form you can't change, though. Yeah. And it becomes a new creation. It is not a translation. According to me, I am not a authority on translation. I have done here and there, and my best I have done. And for example, this translating this पण आमच्यावर प्रेम कोण करणार was according to me good success because it was performed, and when it was performed, its real potential of that story came out. So only translation is not sometimes enough. It needs pictorial or help or presentation and things like that. So we performed it in Mumbai, Pune, Vadodara and Delhi, and then we were invited to perform it in Germany. And it was well received. Yeah. If I'm not, overpraising my own effort, but the credit goes to our actor team also. They present it in a wonderful form where different costumes could be shown, different festivals could be depicted. I mentioned बघण्याचा समारंभ, पाहण्याचा समारंभ, पाहण्याचा कार्यक्रम पुण्यात म्हणतात तसं. तर ते सगळं दाखवता आलं. That had a very good effect, and they combined it with modern dance, and so it is their credit also as much as my credit. Yeah, probably their credit is more in bringing it to the target audience. Yeah, because how many read nowadays? That is also a thing. For there was a problem again in German itself. Translating a word like Z is a big problem. For example, I'll tell you a joke. Maybe I have told you in the class. In a German class, the teacher asks, I will have to narrate it in German. Wie viele Kontinente gibt es? Und wie heißen sie? And there was a young Rajguru in that class on the last bench. He said, Es gibt fünf Kontinente und ich heiße Rajguru. So So it can't be really translated. How will you translate this? I will have to write two page explanation, and then the uh, joke is lost. Yeah,
Correct. Correct.
because joke is written in such a manner that it is very pointer has to come, and if the pointer you can't make, it's gone.
Hmm.
So that's how I think translating in Marathi, husband calling wife do, wife calling husband the, yeah, and so on. Aji is do, otherwise the. Und मग कोल्हापूरचे बाळासाहेब असतात ते अर्धी पॅन्ट घालून छोटेसे 5 वर्षाचे असतात. तर ते असं सगळं ते आपल्या इथले कल्चरल कॉन्टेक्स्ट वेगळे आहेत. सो मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट थिंग वेल ट्रान्सलेटिंग इज कल्चरल डिफरन्स. And I can narrate you still many more examples. For example, I have translated a story, Schreckliche Treue, by a Haushofer, Marlene Haushofer. So Schreckliche Treue, how will you translate it? Schrecklich word here doesn't mean horrible or bhitidayak. It is so Schrecklich, विलक्षण पती, विलक्षण पतिनिष्ठा असं मला ते ट्रान्सलेट करायला. सो इतका बदल करायला लागतो, चेंजिंग, बट यू हॅव टू सी. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, somebody, as you know, probably this quotation they credit to Pula Deshpande. I think it is true, but I have not checked it. Translation is like transferring a perfume from one bottle to another. Yeah, you have to try to get the most of it. It is going to, something is going to escape, something is going to evaporate. Yeah, that's how I describe it. Yeah, and there is another saying. They say, "Zo treu wie möglich und so frei wie nötig." Yeah. In our life, otherwise people take this advantage and say, "Zo treu wie möglich." Yeah, und so frei wie, ne, so treu wie nötig und so frei wie möglich. So that's about it. Yeah.
Yes,
I think I have answered your question at least to a certain extent. It's a very vast field, and everybody has many examples. You should hold a seminar on this, perhaps that will bring out a comprehensive picture of translation process.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was just a glimpse of it, right?
Yeah.
And sir, how was your experience of heading the German language department for so many years?
Yeah. Yeah, you probably ask the students because they are at the receiving ends. But it was a tough time in the initial phases, because learning languages as it is was not very attractive for anybody. If you are a student of science, you were very upper, higher class student, and जसं मराठीत म्हणतात टाकाऊ किंवा कसे तरी तरंगलेले विद्यार्थी, they were joining arts, and the rest of them languages, and the very, very little percentage foreign language. त्यामुळे फॉरेन लँग्वेजचं भाषांतर, परकीय भाषा हे मला आवडत. परकाय नाहीच आहे, त्याला भिन्न भाषा, भिन्न परप्रांतीय म्हणण्यापेक्षा भिन्न प्रांतीय म्हटलं पाहिजे असं मला वाटतं. कारण परमध्ये एक दुरावा आहे, परकाव आहे. So that's how every word should be translated very carefully. Yeah. Okay. And so in the beginning, there were 5 students for any subject was compulsion. So at the end of the year, the government had given instruction, if there are no 5 students, the department will be closed. So every year I had to study my horoscope and see how many students will come. And slowly the number improved, and then foreign languages became a prestige issue. Yeah. Sometimes some old people advise me, why don't you learn German? Kya karta hai? What are you doing nowadays? Why don't you learn a foreign language? I said, okay, I'll take your advice. Yeah. What more can you say? Yeah. So when I started learning German after having learned science, people asked me, you want to go begging? What will you do after learning a foreign language? What are the Yeah, chances. So slowly the budget, if you laugh, for the library for German section was 30 rupees per year, not per month, 30
Mhm.
rupees. So it was
Oh,
very difficult to get new books.
yeah.
There was
Yes.
no, this video, audio media were not there. Books and blackboard were the only medium.
Yes.
So how to get books? So I started inviting Germans wherever I found them in Pune and arranged
Okay.
the reception for them. Their
Uh-huh.
money for tea I had to manage. And at the end of their visit, I requested them to, whenever they go back to Germany, send some books which you don't need. And
Ah.
slowly I started building the library German section.
Mm.
Then this internationalist and the art agency came, and then
Mm.
we started getting a lot of books. But in the initial
Oh,
stage, this was the most difficult thing. Blackboard and chalk. Yeah,
yeah.
blackboard
Yeah.
and chalk.
Mm.
So that was the issue, and it was, but that was also a good time. I saw my main focus, main
Mm.
target,
Mm.
developing interest for the students in German language. I have very often realized there are many students who are smarter and wiser than you, but they sit in front of you. You have to make use of their potential, and
Mm.
you can give them and take from them also. Lalita,
Mm.
I need not mention your name. Yeah. So there were many very bad students in my class, and I couldn't. Probably I was not that great a student. Yeah. So, but I have decided my language is to create interest for German language in these students. So I think I enjoyed my time, and last 15 years I uh, enjoyed because German language became hot subject. I mean, many people wanted to learn it. Why the same college management started asking me, why don't you start German for science faculty? Why don't you start German for commerce faculty and so
Um,
on?
mm. Mm.
Mm.
Mm.
So the scenario changed. Yeah,
Mm.
360 degrees. Good. It was good
Yes.
for good.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Near next question, please.
yeah, with changing times, did you make changes in your teaching methodologies or methods?
That one has to. That is, yeah, mandatory. My first
Mm.
assignment as a teacher,
Mm.
when I was
Mm.
not a trained teacher but aspiring teacher doing teacher training course at Pencil Bhavan, I got an
Mm.
assignment to teach German to um, on the floor. मला इंग्लिश
Oh,
एकदम पटकन नाही आलं मी त्यासाठी ऑन
no.
ऑन द फ्लोर का काय म्हणतात माहित नाही वर्कर्स who are
Oh,
technicians who
okay.
never had
Mm.
any exposure to any language learning systematically. Even their
Oh,
Marathi was whenever I mentioned words like Bhutkal, Dativ, they used to get scared. So I had to think of all different ways, yeah, and how somehow teach them phrases in situation when which they will say what. And once they
mm.
got slowly, they developed confidence by saying niceties at the beginning of the day, and then they
Mm.
got confidence, and then slowly I introduced them to the literature. I mean, their names of the gadgets they used, and they went to Germany and had a good, I mean, some success. From there, after 20 years, probably I got a chance to train engineers of Mercedes, that
Uh-huh.
and Ben,
Mm.
who were supposed to be trained in Germany for 1.5 years. So
Mm.
their VP, Dr. Loeffler, I forgot his name, first
Mm.
name.
Okay.
He said they must learn German here for at least for 6 months.
Okay.
And the
Mm.
teacher has to come here, we don't mind paying whatever charges.
Mm.
And somehow they interviewed some teachers, I was selected. And that was
Oh.
another challenge because I was teaching the cream of engineers who were highly educated
Mm.
and very good in their work because company had selected them.
Mm.
So keeping up, and the class used to be floating. All of a sudden, 3, 4 students disappeared. Went somewhere out of the country. Came back. At that time, this online teaching was not an idea at all. Yeah, it was an unknown concept.
Correct.
So, but on the first day, the vice president himself sat in the classroom, and thereafter on and off. So all students were alert, ready, and because their future depended on that, and in front of the vice president. So it helped me also. I had to change I could take liberty, I could go ahead because the students were better prepared. But otherwise, on corporate teaching is not a good experience for me. Yeah, I think
Okay. Mm-hmm.
they know that they will be sent to their on their project outside the country, whether they know German or not. Yeah, but they are giving this impetus. Yeah, so that they stay there, become. So do I have to change it? At the moment, I had started with blackboard and chalk, but today I am teaching two students from Zurich and one from Philadelphia who know German well. Those in Zurich, they have stayed there for 8 years. That they speak some, so to say, Kauder Deutsch, but they do speak German, and that I have to improve and take them ahead because they are aspiring for German Swiss citizenship. Language, interview and language level is very important. So there I have to change again my strategies. I have never taught on online. You have seen how I struggled with you for about you and Vaidya Sahib for about half an hour before I could start. But I have managed, and that's how a teacher has to change. He has to change his methods. Yeah.
Yes.
And earlier days, it was frontal Unterricht. Frontal Unterricht, teacher was in the center. So later on, it is learner centric. You put the learner in the center of the lesson. So that itself was a big change in audio, video, methodology, beamer, and this and that. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, correct.
So, I mean, technically sometimes, but if you see, learning process hasn't changed. What has changed is how you present. Yeah.
Yes.
And that has to happen. That has happened in every way of life, in every walk of life. As a young boy, I used to go to school by foot. Then I started using bicycle, which was a great advancement when I went to college. And thereafter, scooter and cars. Every world, the entire world is changing now, flying. So,
yes,
why it is natural that the teaching also changes. Yeah.
Correct. What did the course at Savitribai Phule Pune University, this translation course, what did it involve?
Yeah.
Like, was it technical translation or literature translation?
So some background I have to give how I developed interest in translation. I had attended 2 workshops by Christina Nord. She is professor for translatology at the University of Heidelberg. That's long back. One in Delhi, and 5 years after that, one in Chennai. And I got interested in this subject. Thereafter, while visiting Germany, I extended my stay by 1 month and requested Professor Nord to arrange a Hospitation Unterricht for me, lesson observation and discussions with teachers. And that helped me a lot. And there I evolved a course. I think I evolved it. Many others can claim it. I think I have evolved it. And it has the techniques of translation in the center of the learning program. So what you need for translation is good preparation of translation, which is never done. Because the moment you get the text in your hand, you just scan it and start translating. So first thing you have to do is to analyze the text, decide the type of the text Zolte, what type of. You have to look for parallel text, that is the research. In internet today, there is not a single text you will not find parallel text in target language. Yeah,
Yes.
because the translator can't be knowing all the subjects in detail. Today he will do microbiology, next day it will be research on cancer, and it's very, very not an easy job. So translator must have certain qualities. And 4 pillars of translation process are research ability. First and foremost is proficiency in target as well as source language. If you don't have it, don't do translation. Yeah? Hitchcock translations are no good translation. That brings the translator's profession in how to say disrepute. If you start without preparation, yeah, then you must have language proficiency, research, uh, research ability, and you must search for parallel text. You must have analytical work, and you must be in a position to decide how will I translate. For example, you have to study the text in such a way. In English, passive is used very very frequently. Yeah? In German, active sentences are more used. In German, passive is used only in particular situations. If you make a active visit, for example, then they will say in this department this is done, this is done, this is done. In these Abteilung werden die Karosserie and Lackiert. Okay. Where the smart is obvious. So the doer when he is obviously known or not important. For example, an accident has happened and the patient was taken immediately to the next hospital. Was taken. That patient wurde sofort ins Krankenhaus gebracht. Who did it is not important. Yeah. And you have worked in so many industries, the top boss comes and ich möchte, dass dieser Brief heute Abend bis 5 Uhr geschickt werden. मग राजगुरू करतायत कळलं दुसरं कोण करतायत त्याचा सिस्टम घाल. So that has to be explained. You can't just do any sentence in that passive and any next. So if you study the text, if this text has lot many passive voice, lot of passive voice, and the target text, if you get it in parallel research, what whether they use passive or active in their target text in English text, that you have to study, and then your language becomes very difficult. Then you have to know the nature of the language. For German language has long sentences, a chain of sentences. It may start at one side of the page and end at the other side. And then come the Vorsilbe an oder aus und auf, and that changes all the entire meaning. So this you must know. And English doesn't have such long sentences. So I mean this type of study, that was the target, and we studied all sort of text. Yeah. For example, we tried to translate certain poems. We took basically commercial texts, which are of common interest to technical and non-technical people. Yeah. Then we slowly shifted to prescriptions of medicines, and slowly, gradually to pure mechanical engineering and text. Then you have to read, understand, you have to discuss it with an expert in mechanical engineering, ask him whether I have understood this from this text. Can you explain some concept? It needs research. So research phase is very, very important. Yeah. And then how to present the translated literature, that's another formatting and all that. Yeah. So it's not an easy job. Not an easy job. I mean, you have done it. You have been the best translator of the year. So it is like carrying coal to Newcastle, but I'm doing it because you asked me the question. Okay.
Yes. And sir, you were an honorary teacher at Maxmiller Bhavan. So was the experience different because the target group was different there from college and university?
There were so many structural differences. Maximum one, every day you study to at least for 4 to 5 sessions of 45 minutes. And it's a continuous intensive course or the same intensive, but frequency is perhaps little different. And the building, the structure, the entire so to say, grandeur of the institute puts you under pressure, and you are with selected, motivated crowd in your class, and your other languages known to you could become a handicap because that puts you. I mean, that gives you some sort of diffidence. My observation, not all weighted, but the teaching methods are excellent. I have taught there, I have learned there, as well as I have learned in another institute. So combination of both is the wonderful thing that can happen to you while learning German. Actually, Bowen teachers are very good. They are communicative. You learn communicative German, but they have a shower effect. So long as you are doing the course, you speak fluently. As the next course, the gap between the two courses increases, you start losing your confidence and somehow also the fluency. That means that it is not the part of there's nothing wrong with the method. You have to be in touch with the language that's why reading literature is very important because literature connects you with your feelings, your emotions, and it like lays the language with emotions, and that's very important to happen. Maxwell Bhavan will give you, good conversational, day-to-day, journalistic and language, and you will be a successful person in life or your profession, no doubt. But university courses which teach you literature can make you at the end of the day happier because you have read so many, you have got introduced to literature. That's what at least happened with me, I think. So, but this is all in all. I have taught in university in Maxwell. I love both the institutions. I know the positive aspect side of both the courses. Negative side I have long back forgotten. But my main objection to Maxwell courses is, and university also, you use books written by German publishers mainly for entire world and for European Union languages where the cultural similarity is there, and there are so many aspects which are not known to. Pizza and pasta and all that. Oh, that is not German. Kebab and all that is all now in European Länder gemeinsam. So all such things become very, and then what I never liked, because it's the way Indian students learn and the way German students learn are very different.
Okay.
And they have better choice. They have smaller classes. In Indian schools, there are at least 50 to 60 students per class. So our auditory memory is never tested. It's tested only when you start shouting in the class to protest against teacher. When he turns his back to students and starts writing on the blackboard. Otherwise, your memory is never tested, auditory memory. And suddenly you land in a situation where Hören verstehen becomes the main problem. At least I have felt, and if you don't know just one aspect of language learning well, you can't get stuck at one level. That is not correct. You should especially mention this student is weak in Hören verstehen, but you can't stop him from learning. You can't stop his progress. it might develop later on.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what happens? You learn a course with a very expensive course. You invest so much time. You do well in all other heads of the examination. You plug in Huron 15, you're out. And you are standard. You had come with so much enthusiasm, so much zest, and so much interest for language. So German language losing its candidate. The same must be true because for Spanish and French, because they have now a common exam pattern.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Great. Yes.
I love both the institutions. Yeah. I say proudly I'm product of both the institutions. I don't know what they think about me, but I say it boldly. Yeah. Okay. And humbly.
Absolutely. And sir, do you
Yeah.
think the German language has changed over all these years?
Oh, yeah. You see it for yourself. Yeah. You have the answer for it. It has. If people 20 who died 20, 40 or 15 years back, all of a sudden are reborn, they will say, what is this Pakistan? And, what is this SMSN? Yeah. All what is the service? Yeah.
And relaxation
So,
also nowadays. Yeah.
and so the another puzzle for me, they use so many English words,
Yes.
and we can use them. Whenever we use English word, if I say is itinerary, then that is not accepted. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
naturally the people, I mean Germans, the language they speak is authentic, but that's a puzzle for me. Yeah. So
Okay.
now meeting, we have a meeting. These words are common. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Tagung, very few people say Tagung, meeting, meet.
Yes.
Yeah. Interview, where that Vorstellungsgespräch. So the language is changing. Language is changing, and it might come to a stage where interlanguage becomes everywhere popular.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interlanguage mixture of 2, 3 languages.
That's
I don't blame German. How many English words we use in Marathi?
yes.
Is there anybody who says where काय झालं? Time किती? So it is naturally. The more the
Correct.
cultures mix up, the more the international boundaries, yeah, disappear.
Yeah.
This is bound to happen, and it's a good sign. I think the change is sign of life, and language is the one of the top things which keep on changing, and that's why they are interesting. Yeah.
That yes, that makes it interesting. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Sir, why should one learn languages? I want to know from you.
So I again give an example. The example which I had given in the beginning, language connects.
Yes.
The longest bridges in the world built are not by China or USA or by any other country. Language bridges connect continents. Yeah. And the more languages people speak, the more languages it is, there are so many advantages. For Goethe had said that it may not be exactly the same. Je mehr Sprachen du sprichst, desto mehr Male bist du ein Mensch.
Yeah.
So the more languages you know, the better. Importance of language is nobody has. There is not a single person who has not uttered a word on a single day. There are people who go without eating, without water, but without talking, nobody has lived. So that it is very important. Language is very important, no doubt. In professions, you have to give report to your boss in 3 minutes. You have to tell him what happened in 30 days in your section, or what happened you during your stay in Germany, or whatever. I don't know what meetings. You have to tell in that. Yeah, you have to work as a team. Yeah. So in team, any team, language is very important. Language connects. Yeah.
Okay.
Go and do that work. No, we'll say, okay, take down. The person will say, okay. So language can connect and language can also console and give solace to a person and give him courage. Yeah. So language has a tremendous strength. So why shouldn't one learn languages? Yeah.
Certainly.
I have decided and I want to win more people for this project. You should teach one word of your language to a person Bhinna Bhasha, who speaks Bhinna Bhasha, and learn a word from him. If I go to the grocer, I type. So the Marwadi grocer speaks Marwadi. I tell him, you teach one word to me, I'll teach you one word Marathi, and I'll give you one free for one word. Yeah.
Okay.
So simple things you can teach. Yeah. For example, Namaskar Kasai. It doesn't cost much. Yeah.
Yes.
Speak others' languages. Explain your language to others. If Marathi is not propagated, it dies, then we are responsible and not anybody else. And unless you show acceptance to other languages, your language will never get that acceptance. Yeah. And any importance of any language depends on its economy and its literature. So if you make your literature known to other art and literature known to other culture, then it becomes very. It could bring some faith. I had one important assignment. I was working at the end of after retiring for Crest soft. I have forgotten the name. For 6 months as language trainer to the language experts.
Okay.
And they were all Oberstufen MA pass students. And I had to teach them the orthography and grammar of German language and other aspects. And there used to come a team of German trainers here in Pune and teach them this process exactly, how to work. And I was supposed to teach the Germans Marathi for a while. So that also I found very interesting. And
that must have been
while going back, some of them, we had a small upsheet party. Some of them sang the song I had taught them, Chanakiti Disati Kulapakaru. So they sang it. So you can, yeah, that is how language should go. Yeah.
Sir, Sir, what is Forum Deutsch?
Exactly from this point of view, there are many people, many students, very talented students. Sometimes I've seen in Oberstufe and MS students potential to go far ahead of me in language and literature, and they have gone also. But after they finish learning German language and get some bad salary in some BPO KPO process, they start forgetting German because they have no contact. They use words and the language only restricted to their process, and they have very great writing talents. I can name some students who can write wonderful sketches and wonderful how to say actors there are in this. So that's why I decided if there's a forum for them, and both at Max Miller Bhavan and university, the courses are going around the clock. Yeah. And the teachers are overworked and nobody has time for culture and literature. Because through drama you learn languages. I had learned from the great Professor Bibi Kulkarni. I enacted, you will not believe, in Faust in his play. Yeah, a very small role, and that of Valentine. But I learned language there. I heard how he talks, how he learns, and how other characters. And thereafter, Johanna Wernicke, with her we had staged Dreigroschen Oper, and half cast was German. Ulf Wernicke, Wanda Wernicke, and Johanna, and mixed some teachers, some students. It was fun, great fun learning language. Though I was not at all successful on the stage, but I learned a lot of language. I developed a altogether different rapport with my colleagues. That is very important for the success of any work. That's why I create a forum for German. I decided opportunity for those to be bright students or even dull students to show whatever they can. And this started when our drama was invited to Germany. They had promised hospitality and expenditure of lodging and boarding, but still that was too high. Yeah? And the flight expense, the insurance and the rest of the things we had to manage. And that was again a lot of money. And I just, on Facebook, I announced this and helped them from all sides. And we collected a good amount, handsome amount, and at least 80% of these expenditures were covered, and we could travel. So I decided when to collect funds, we needed to register this forum because you can't collect money, public money, without registration. That's why we registered this. Das ist so eingetragener Verein Forum Deutsch. And then we started arranging lectures, students who visit Germany, their experiences. For example, Bidam Anundi Bandstifter was translated by now is not Shiva Purkar, and she had a radio play session. And every year we organize a competition. You have witnessed it. You have participated. Your group has won prizes. So it is. It has the successful and popular forum. It has become. So this is these are the activities of Forum Deutsch, of which I happen to be the founder president. But I think it's time for me to hang the boot. If you want to become president, you could. Or you means Lalita, you and any other you. Yeah.
Sure, yes.
But you have to devote at least 1 to 2 years to that. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Certainly. And sir, what changes would you like to see happening in the language industry?
As I said, I have been on and off language industry because I have not successfully handled language as a profession. A profession teaching, yes, but with the corporate world. Yeah.
Okay.
So perhaps changes is you have to take language to the doors of students. That has happened. Online teaching, commuting, it has become so difficult. So you must take the classes to less physical presence classes and more online classes that will solve the problem of doing homework and feedback and test will be good. Yeah. So I think changes are happening and they are good. Any change is good. Yeah. Change is the sign of life. न बदलेगी दुनिया न बदलेंगे हम. That days, those days are gone. Yeah.
Those days are gone. Great. And sir, I forgot to ask you about your study tours to Germany, the annual study tours.
Yeah. Now, I had also experienced and also, so to say, erfahren and lived the situation where I was trying very hard, but I was never sehr good student. Yeah, somehow I managed good. But my effort was very honest, and in the learning process of a foreign language, getting an exposure to in that country is a shot in the arm. And I see many students trying hard, but not getting that exact score, not getting, and there are other aspects which I don't want to discuss here, which are in any field of life. But only first and second student get
Hmm.
uh, scholarships and get a chance to go to Germany or any that the country where it is spoken, and 24/7 exposure. So I said I can't make it free. I had a very good contact. I had got two research projects fellowships from DAD.
Okay.
I could work under Dr. Akoun, and slowly I developed contacts in Germany. And one of his assistants was Scholten. We became very good friends. He has today a language school recognized by NRW, and it is a Telk-Zentrum für Ganze bundesweit.
Okay.
And we designed courses together. I suggested him whether you can, if we can you conduct a paid course for all at a very minimum price? And so in the initial year, first year, we say 6 people went. They stay in a family, selected German family, not German husband, Iranian wife, and Korean children. That situation is not there. They are mostly rentier to maintain. And when you retire, you get attracted to your own culture again, and they are eager to show culture to our students. They get 100 lectures there. There are more projects and like different aspects of German life, industry, commerce, politics, new recent history, Ausländer Politik, und so weiter, und so weiter. So, and now, so far, more than 130 students have gone there, and I do take some money from them to cover my charges going there. Hospitality is given to free of cost by host to me. But I have never organized these courses for making profit. Or it is not a Dunya Dekho course. You go and stay in Germany at one place, you interact with German people. On weekends, you make study tours. For example, when you study industry, you either go to Volkswagen or you go to eine Brauerei and see how the life works. And dramas we see Berlin or 3 days stay, 2 nights, 3 days in Berlin. So people enjoy to live there to experience what happened in Germany, why Berlin is important, its history, and so on. That's about it. Yeah.
That's nice. And which projects do you have in mind for your future?
I have 2-3 projects. One project I roughly told you to collect people who will at least sell and buy one word in their mother tongue and others' mother. Yeah. It is just a project I just want to inspire people. So, you don't have to do anything, no money, nothing, no time investment. Yeah. So and if we don't do, again I tell you, if Marathi is not there in 200 years, we are responsible for it. We take pride in speaking certain languages. We have to take pride in speaking our language. I don't believe in beating people, hitting people, destroying this and that. But you have to do something positive. You can't just sit idly and say, yeah, Marathi, mar raha hai, kya karenge? That's not the way. You have to do something. And this small thing can be done. Yeah. Ram Ram kase aat. Yeah. Jevan झालं का? Varunish. Prost. Yeah.
Yes.
चला जेवणाची वेळ झाली. So simple things you can teach. That's one project. Second project, so far more than 30 sketches written and presented by students are with us, and they are also video shot. Yeah. So I want to make somehow some documentation for it. So in 10 years we have so many one-act plays written by our students, enacted by them. Documentation is important. If you do a lot of effort without documentation, it's going to be forgotten in the coming days. So make documentation. That I am trying. Sometimes my physical energy lacks, but I want to do still certain things, and I hope I get that much time. Yeah.
Definitely you will. It was great
Yeah.
talking to you, sir.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Talking, I
Yes, thank
enjoyed,
you.
and talking on German, I enjoyed still more. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Thank
hope
you.
you
Thank
have
you,
your
sir. Bye
some
bye.
information. Yeah, bye bye.
Yes. Okay. Bye bye.
Cheers. Yeah, bye.